Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Good Games Chicago 2010 tournament. This is round 2, and on the left we have Christopher Schemanske playing Luxchomp, and on the right we have Mark Nilson also playing Luxchomp. So this is a classic mirror match, and as we kick off here, we'll see Mark flip the coin. It is heads. Let's see who goes first. So let's see the players get started. Oh no. Okay, that is a Uxie versus an Unown Q, and Chris has the energy. So Unown has Psychic Weakness and 30 HP, which means that Psychic Restore will do enough damage to end the game. So thank you all for watching. That is the end of the match. To be fair, it looks like Mark's hand was really bad, and I think they were hoping to hold the Uxie so that way they could somehow draw out of this, but that's what happens sometimes. So, GG, and the players will shuffle up for another game here, so let's move on to that game. Alright, we've got the players set up here, and now we'll see another flip. It's a tails. Alright, Lucario versus Luxray, and this time Mark will go first, so now we'll play a real match. Of course, this is just for fun. Christopher has officially won the round, but let's actually play some Pokemon and have a good game here. So Christopher right away gets the turn 1 collector. This is great. So Christopher is playing a list that he said he has built for a very long time, and this was a list that was specifically teched for the Luxchomp mirror match. Meanwhile, Mark Nilson is an established retro player in their own regard. They got top 8 at the 2010 tournament held at NAIC 2024 with this same Luxchomp list. So both players here are going to be pretty experienced with the Luxchomp mirror match. Both lists are playing, I believe both lists are playing Dragonite FB, as we see Christopher get alongside a Garchomp and a Uxie. So far, both players should have all the tools they need for the mirror match. Just depends on who gets them out when. So we're going to see Garchomp and Dragonite. No power sprays in hand for Christopher right now. So the thing about this mirror match is it can be largely dictated on Garchomp wars, in particular being able to Dragon Rush your opponent's Garchomp before they can knock out your own. So in the mirror match, you want to have 2 Garchomp in play at minimum, more or less at all times. That way if one of them does get Dragon Rush, the other one can come in and respond. Alright, we are going to see Christopher go for the setup for 4 here. Let's see what he draws. Okay, so he does also play the Ambipom, so he's got both of the mirror match techs. Ambipom, of course, can one-shot a Garchomp that has just used Dragon Rush with no energy on it. Meanwhile, Dragonite just does a raw 80 damage to any SP Pokemon, which I believe is massive in the SP mirror match. There is some debate about the efficacy of Dragonite in Luxchomp as an SP matchup. Which, by the way, we just see Christopher gets a 3rd Garchomp C. So we also know he's playing a 3-1 Garchomp line and a Dragonite and an Ambipom, which is pretty much the most you can possibly prepare for the SP matchup. In my opinion, modern Luxchomp lists should probably be playing both Dragonite and Ambipom at this point. Dragonite as a card, even though it does have much less utility outside the SP matchup, it feels like a silver bullet against SP, and from my personal experience, I always feel a lot more powerful when I do have a Dragonite on my side. In particular, although Dragonite does have Colorless weakness, it does have a whopping 100 HP, which means that in the rare but fortunate circumstance where you can attack with a Mach Blow and your opponent does not have an immediate Garchomp to respond, being able to take 2 KOs with your Dragonite is devastating as the SP player. Because keep in mind that Ambipom actually can't do much against a Dragonite. Snap Attack will only do 20 base damage, which is definitely not enough. Even an Expert Belt won't get you there. So the only way to knock out a Dragonite in one hit is either with a Garchomp Earthquake or with a Garchomp Dragon Rush or a Dragonite yourself. So on Mark's side now, we see that they do have the Cyrus, and they're really scanning things here. No collector to get. We see them pull an Azelf up front, but you cannot get that off an SP radar. So they decide to radar for the Bronzong. And now they're going to calm the Bronzong away for an Azelf. Okay. I didn't quite get a look at what exactly was in Mark's deck or what they are trying to fish off of this Time Walk. If they do drop it right now, which they probably are, I'm guessing that they really would like either another Garchomp C or a Dragonite. I do not have the lists handy, but I believe that Mark is playing 2 Garchomp and 2 level X. So if that's the case, all right, we see the Time Walk go through here, and we see them do indeed go for the Dragonite. We also see a double Colorless Energy and a Crobat in the prizes, along with a Poketurn. Oh my gosh, I think that might actually be a Garchomp C. Wow. Yeah, it is. So they prized both a Garchomp and a Dragonite. So this Azelf was vital, and they are very fortunate that Christopher did not have the Power Spray. So here comes the Dragonite on Mark's side. We're going to see the Bright Look going for the Bronzong. And if that's the case here, we're just going to see a Flash Impact for 60. Okay. Now, curious what they put it on. They have 2 Pixies on the board. It's tough putting the damage on a Pixie because you'll never be able to heal it. But if you now put your damage on the Garchomp as they have, it does leave you slightly more vulnerable to an opponent's Bright Look as well. Now, fortunately for Mark, Christopher does not have a Luxray on the board, so that Garchomp will be safe from a Bright Look. Its only vulnerability right now would just be a classic Dragon Rush. Christopher notably does not have a Cyrus, so they are going to play the Bebe this turn, and looks like he's going to get the Uxie. Does he have the Poketurn in hand? I don't remember seeing it. I thought that was an Ambipom. We'll have to see here. Yeah, the triple Garchomp definitely feels very nice at the detriment of not being able to get your Luxray down. No Poketurn on Christopher's board, so there's kind of nothing he can do right now other than attach a Call Energy somewhere, or looks like he has just passed his turn. Okay, so... Oh, no. No, okay, turn's still going on. So we're going to see a Galactic Switch to the other Garchomp. Maybe he is wanting Mark to kill the Bronzong himself. Let's see. So, okay, yeah, Galactic Switch pass. Maybe Christopher will kill the Bronzong next turn with a Galactic Switch, I think is the thinking here. This does give Mark a free turn, so that Bright Look was a good call by Mark, noticing that Christopher did not have the Cyrus last turn, meaning it was less likely that he had access to a Poketurn. Going over to Mark's side now, they are debating powering up this Azelf. Bronzong does have Psychic Weakness, so Lockup actually would be doing 40 damage, which is way more than is necessary. They're going to attach it to the Uxie instead, probably deciding to Psychic Restore back onto the bottom. That's not a bad idea. Whatever attacker you do leave active after you take out this Bronzong, you want it to be as less vulnerable as possible. Now, Luxchomp does play the Uxie Lv.X, so there's a merit to having Uxies on your board, but in an early game like this, where your opponent has a lot more weapons on the board than you do, I think it does make sense to just take the Uxie off the board and try again. Alright, we see a Pont here, and Mark draws a bunch of supporters. Gets the gets the Flash Bite onto the Bronzong. That's pretty great, actually. So, by the way, just remember that... Okay, I guess the players here are just doing casual Time Walk rules. So, at this tournament, we agreed that you can discuss with your opponent what your time walk situation will be. Recall that back in the day when you did play your time walk, you had to memorize the location of your prize cards. In modern days, we have notes, but back in 2010, you were not allowed to take notes, so you had to place your prize cards in the correct position and then memorize them. Because modern day rules use notes, but back then they didn't, people are a lot more lax about time walk rules today, and so I don't think it's too surprising that we can just let people look at their prize cards when they want. I have no problem with that as a player, and I have not really met anyone who does. Now, Mark gets the Garchomp C Lv.X and the double Colorless energy, so going to get the Dragon Rush, picking off the Garchomp with the Call energy. This was a 2-prize turn from Mark. Christopher's Gambit with the Galactic Switch backfiring as it let Mark get the Flash Bite KO plus the Dragon Rush here, and Christopher going to have to fire off a very early Aaron, getting back the Garchomp and the Bronzong. Now, those Aarons can be a bit more valuable when you only play the 1 level X, because Aaron and Premier Ball are your only ways to get them. Alright, Christopher going for another Galactic Switch here. His hand is still really bad. I kind of wonder... So, let's see. He promoted the Garchomp off of the Crobat knockout, and then Mark knocked out the bench Garchomp. So... there wasn't necessarily a chance for him to send up the Uxie and then level it up this turn. Goes instead SP Radar for the level X, so he does have it. He's going to use it to heal off the 20 from the Bronzong. And I think he's just going to free retreat into the Ambipom, and we'll see a snap attack for 120. That is a very resourceful turn from Christopher. With a hand that didn't seem like it had much going on, he does get the KO with the Ambipom. He also pulls the Power Spray off of the prizes, so this could be good for him. Mark, meanwhile, now notably does not have a Garchomp. We know that they prized their other Garchomp in their prizes. They're down 2 already, and I believe their list only plays 2 of the Garchomp C. So right now they need to figure out how they're going to attack this turn. And the likeliest way is probably going to have to be a Mach Blow. If they have a Bronzong and an energy gain, they can pull it off. Going to play the Collector here. Line up some cards. Yeah, they don't have too many basics left in the deck anyway. It looks like the Toxicroak, Bronzong, and Q that they get, and the only other cards I saw were 1 Luxray and 1 Uxie. So Toxicroak, of course, is wonderful in the SP Mirror match. It just lets you one-shot the Luxrays, and in general, being a 70 damage attacker can be very clutch, especially combined with Flash Bite to get the 80 damage off. So we are going to see the Toxicroak here. Poketurn picks up the Luxray. Alright, so we have the... Okay, yeah, they're going to need to bench the Bronzong if they want to attack with Toxicroak this turn. So we see them take back the Luxray and bench the Bronzong. Yeah, I think this makes more sense. Oh, wait, no, they... Wait. So, they are wanting to use Galactic Switch. That's the power they just declared, but you cannot move energy off of an SP Pokemon anyway. Okay, yeah, the players are checking this out now. So they're remembering that the Galactic Switch wasn't legal to announce at the beginning. So Christopher will take back the Power Spray here. And unfortunately for Mark, no way to attack this turn. Going to slap the energy on the Dragonite, but you really wish the energy gain was sitting on it too. The good news is, with no Luxray on Christopher's board, that Dragonite is safe on Mark's bench. Christopher right now is at best threatening a snap attack, which would do 60 base to an energy-less Pokemon on Mark's active here. Okay, Mark just took back the lightning attachment as well. So really in the tank right now, figuring out what to do. Plays the communication, throws away the Luxray Lv.X for the Uxie. Okay, so Ambipom has 80 HP, so a Zen Blade would not take the KO here. Mark does need a draw of this hand. I don't think they have any supporters in it. It's just a handful of energy, a Uxie Lv.X. Going to retreat into the Uxie, level up, attach, trade off, gets a Power Spray. Yeah, so I think they're just gonna Zen Blade for 60. Okay. Pretty great that they actually are able to get an attack off this turn. I think once they understood that the Galactic Switch could never take the energy off the Uxie, that they might as well attack while they can. Notably, of course, the Psychic being on the Uxie makes it less likely for the Toxicroak to be able to attack, depending on the number of Psychics in Mark's deck. Mark allows a Galactic Switch, which will move the call onto the Uxie. Christopher picks up the Ambipom, going to get his own level up. He can now retreat the Uxie with this call. Gets the trade-off here. It does get allowed. We see 2 copies of more or less the same card, Bebe and SP Radar. So he's going to opt for the Bebe instead. This would allow him to get a Uxie if he does want to try to draw more cards. Plays the Bebe, so I bet that's what we're going to see here. I think putting away the Garchomp is fine right now. You have a Lv.X already sitting on the bench, so it cannot be Dragon Rushed. Mark doesn't have a Luxray, so they couldn't Bright Look the Garchomp Lv.X to knock it out. I think it's safe enough that you can try to draw some more cards here with the Uxie. Once again, Christopher has not played a single Cyrus this entire game. That's something that he will definitely want to improve. Alright, gonna attach one of the gains in his hand, goes for the setup for 4, and Mark will play their Power Spray. I think this was a good time to use it. Christopher now is the one who seems unable to produce any attackers, and he's just going to promote and pass. Both players having really big energy woes in this game. It really shows that Luxchomp, especially in the mirror match, can live or die by your ability to draw your double colorless energy. Neither player has... Actually, Mark has played 1 Cyrus, Christopher has played no Cyrus. So without these energy streams coming on, it really is up to cards like Oak's New Theory that Mark is playing, or this Uxie Lv.X to get your double colorless energy. So Mark going to draw 6 cards. Notably, Mark's list does play 3 copies of Pont, so they are more likely to be able to draw these cards. But again, Pont has the risk, since it shuffled those cards back in, you don't really know exactly what you're going to end up with. They do rip the Lightning off of the trade-off. So we also see an energy gain. That does mean this Dragonite can't attack, but Christopher has a Uxie active. Mark used Zen Blade last turn as well, so if Mark wants to Zen Blade again, they can retreat into Crobat and then Poke Turn, and it looks like that might be what we have here. Going to retreat into the Crobat, and yeah, no, goes to pass instead. Okay, I think that is a better play. Your Poke Turns are so valuable in this deck that it's really tough to justify using them on a play like that. Now, Christopher top decks the DCE, trade-offs into the Cyrus. What a perfect 2 cards for Christopher to find here. Going to get his resources online now, hopefully get some Cyrus chains going. Now, Christopher's list may play a Judge. I don't know if Mark's list does play a Judge, so I don't think Hand Disruption is... I think Hand Disruption is unlikely for Christopher. Goes for the Lightning, the Poke Turn, and the Cyrus. And we'll see what he does from here. So, notably, Christopher is unable to move this Uxie. Goes to double colorless on the Dragonite, and he's going to have to pass again. There we go. Mark now with the initiative. Again, has not had a Garchomp for a very long time. We see them get the Warp and the Collector. I think that's a pretty easy choice. And now what do we see? You know, Christopher is happy just sitting back because he's the only one who is able to pull off like a Dragon Rush. So Mark cannot make any progress until they either knock out this Uxie or get a Luxray or Garchomp on the board. We do see the retreat into the level X and an attachment, so I do see a Zen Blade coming up. And now it is Mark's turn to finally fire off some Cyrus as well. So both players finally getting their consistency online after what has felt like so long. And we see Mark get a Psychic, a Power Spray, and a Cyrus. So at this point now, Mark is going to take another prize card with the Zen Blade. Here we see it. Okay. And we see them draw their prize. It might have been a Garchomp or it was a collector. And now it is up to Christopher. So if Christopher wants to take out this Uxie, the best way to do it is likely his own. He also does not have a Luxray, so he cannot right-look up that Dragonite or the Toxicroak, which I think would be preferable here. No DCE either, so if he wants to Dragon Rush this turn, he will have to Galactic Switch. And Christopher has just played a Power Spray, or sorry, Mark has just played a Power Spray. I'm guessing that was for the Galactic Switch. So now there is no Dragon Rush on the table at all. Christopher goes for the Poketurn, going to reset the Galactic Switch. Ask Mark, do you have another Power Spray? They say no. So now the DC moves up, which means that Christopher, if he has a Crobat, he can knock out this Toxicroak or the Bronzong, and if he doesn't have a Crobat, then he can take out the Crobat or the Azelf. We see a Q and 2 Luxrays. I think going for the Q is good, give that Uxie a lot more mobility. And again, Christopher has had no Luxrays this whole game here. So notably no Crobat though, so we will see him go after the smaller basics. Quick onto Uxie, bench the Luxray. He has not attached yet this turn. There it goes onto the Luxray. And now he can just fire off a Dragon Rush. I do like Christopher's position a bit more. Again, Mark has been struggling with being unable to pressure with Garchomps. That has been the consequence of prizing one of them. And looking at their hand, I don't think they drew it off the prizes. Christopher Dragon Rushes the Azelf. That's interesting. I don't know of a situation where you want your opponent to, you want to give them a free bench space like that. I guess if he's scared of lockup. We've already seen quite a few Poketurns come out of Christopher's side, so maybe he's worried about a lockup on like a Bronzong or something. Mark commits the Q now. Goes to use up all that bench space, their last slot here, on the quick. If you're Christopher, you might be tempted to Power Spray this. We do see that he lets it through, so now the Uxie is free retreat. Mark now, ooh, Poketurn and Luxray, both of those cards are so desirable. Mark might have a Luxury Ball in hand, in which case they're likely... No, okay, they took the Luxray, so I do think this is great. Have to get your own Luxray online right now. I think Bright Look plus Mach Blow can be such a devastating 1-2 punch, which both players are finally threatening after so long. This Uxie is going to run away into the Dragonite, so Mark does have the DCE, has the energy gain too. Oh no. Attaches a warp to the active? Maybe, okay. I'm guessing that they just decided to attach the energy and then retreat, so otherwise that would not be a legal play. Like I said, this is a casual game, so not much is lost. It's a very reversible play. Christopher trade-offs into the Garchomp, so I believe, yep, he has the Premier Ball in hand, so he is ready with another level X, but again, the energy issues are compounding. We do see a Night Maintenance here. Opts to put the level X back, which is interesting. Well, you know what? That's actually all that he can do. He has no basic energy in the deck, in the discard pile. So now he's going to Premier Ball for the Luxray. Okay, The Night Maintenance makes more sense if you're going to go get the Luxray instead of the Garchomp. With an energy gain that I'm pretty sure is in Christopher's hand, he can pull off an attack this turn. We are going to see a retreat and a Bright Look. Mark will allow it, and Bright Look brings up the Crobat. So Flash Impact will one-shot the Crobat here, and Christopher going to take the chance to play his own Professor Oak's New Theory. Alright, this has been a very interesting game so far. Christopher with 4 prizes, about to go down to 3. Mark here with 2 prizes. Now with Christopher with an active Luxray, this does give Mark an opening to just bring up the Toxicroak, knock out the Luxray, and then Mach Blow for game. So we will see how it goes. Notably, Christopher has never once declared Mach Blow in this game, and I do think this game will be decided by how many chances Mark will get to knock out the Pokemon with Mach Blow. Just as I was saying earlier, if the opponent can't respond to a Dragonite on one turn, then you are gaining so much tempo. And as we saw, Christopher was forced to go after the Crobat instead, leaving this dangerous Dragonite on the board. Now, Mark's Bright Look does get Power Sprayed. Good move on Christopher's part. We see Mark with the Psychic in hand. I think this is a great time to just fire off a Poison Revenge. Multiple Poketurns in hand. I think it'd be a good idea for for Mark to Poketurn the Luxray and try to reset for another chance. We do see the Cyrus now. I think at this point, you probably want to go get an Aaron if they have it in their deck. Maybe, was Aaron used already? I don't believe it was. Mark gets Lightning, a Power Spray, and whatever supporter I guess they want. It looks like, okay, there's the Aaron, so very good. I think at this point, Mark is in a very commanding position. They are going to go down to 1 prize card, and they will have a Dragonite sitting in the back row. They have a Uxie powered up. I think if you Poketurn this Luxray, then you have more or less checkmated your opponent. We don't see it, so okay. We just see a Poison Revenge here from Mark. Goes down to 1 prize card. It's up to Christopher now, going to need to steal back some tempo. Now, this Uxie Lv.X, while it does one-shot the Toxicroak, it will immediately be returned KO'd by Mark's Uxie. So Christopher, ooh, the Looker. Okay, so Christopher does play the Hand Disruption here. We see, wow, a 10-card hand, 2 Poketurn, a Power Spray, Energy, Aaron, a lot of things that you want. So Christopher is going to tell them to shuffle it away, and we'll see what he can do here. So he has the Garchomp C Lv.X and the double Colorless Energy and the Energy Gain, so he can pull off a Dragon Rush, but none of Mark's Pokemon have 80 HP. This Dragon Rush won't actually do very much, which means that, and in fact, because Toxicroak has 90 HP, Mach Blow also will not knock it out. So Christopher right now is desperate to find some sort of answer. His Crobat must be prized, because that Crobat is necessary right now. And there we go. Christopher goes for the Azelf. He's going to try to Time Walk for the Crobat. I think without a Crobat, there is very little chance of Christopher making it out of this game. So let's see it here. Maybe he goes for it. There's no more Poketurn on Christopher's side, so does go for the Time Walk. Mark says that's okay, and we do see the Crobat there. Man, Christopher has been wanting that Crobat for so long now. Now you decide what card to put back. I guess you have to put back the Cyrus. All the other cards in your hand are way too good. Yeah, man, what do you do if you're Christopher? This Uxie literally cannot attack, otherwise you lose the game on the spot. So we're going to see retreat into DCE, Mach Blow for 80. Mark flashes the Poketurn, able to return KO with their own Dragonite, and that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more coverage of the 2010 tournament. Have a good one, everyone.